Okay, Katie, can you nod if you see that? Yeah, okay, awesome. So good evening, everybody. My name is Patty Spencer, and I am one of the admissions counselors here at CCS. I think regional admissions counselor. I'm actually based in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area on the west side of the state. And joining me is Katie Fredline, who is our Director of Student Engagement. We've got quite a bit for you guys this evening. Definitely an opportunity to ask questions. As we go through our presentation, please feel free to put questions in the chat. Katie's going to help me keep, and we'll both keep an eye on that. But we also will have kind of an open Q&A at the end. We'll get any questions answered that are in the chat that didn't get answered, and also you can ask questions live if you'd like to. Go ahead and leave your cameras off, like I said, because we are recording this for other students and families that might need it. So just to give you guys an idea of the topics that we're going to go over tonight. First and foremost, congratulations to everyone. Hopefully you guys are all accepted, deposited CCS students. We're very excited to have you join our family, our CCS family this fall. So we're going to cover a number of different things about making that smooth transition, starting school, what needs to happen between now and August, communications, class schedules, requirements, tuition, all that kind of stuff. So we will go through each one of these. And like I said, hopefully give you guys some answers. So we are going to start with communications and portals. And Katie, you can jump in wherever you want to. But most of you should have this information already with your CCS ID login and password. I know most of you, if you're a deposited student, you've had that information, and you can get the access manager. A lot of you have done it for registration and things like that. But when you log into self-service, or excuse me, access manager, this is what you're going to see. And so these are different resources for you, both now before you start school, but also after you're a student here at CCS. So for example, Canvas, your CCS email account, the Peacock Pride portal, all of those things are here. For first and foremost is your CCS email. You all should be checking this now. As a CCS student or accepted student, deposited student, we are sending communications to that CCS email, the @ccsdetroit.edu email. So we want you to be checking that on a regular basis. It will be important notices from admissions, financial aid, the registrar's office, information about orientation, housing, all of that kind of stuff. So if you are not yet checking that email on a very regular basis, I'd say at least a couple times a week, Katie, definitely do that. And then there's also a great weekly student email that comes out from Katie's office as well. Would you, Katie, like to talk about Peacock Pride real quick?
I'd love to. Yeah. Hi, friends. My name's Katie. I she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Student Engagement at CCS. So you'll receive quite a few emails throughout July and August from my area overseeing new student orientation. I'm housed within the Student Affairs Office, which also has housing and residence life, the Wellness Center, etc. So you'll be getting a lot of messages from us in July and August to get you prepared to come to campus. So I threw it in the chat, and Patty said this a couple of times. Make sure you're starting to check your CCS email, because that's where we'll send all of the important information. Throughout July and August, we'll start phasing out emailing your personal email account, just because you'll start using your CCS account as soon as you start at CCS. So just get in the habit of just go ahead and add it to your Gmail accounts on your phone, start checking it regularly. The Peacock Pride account that Patty just mentioned is our student involvement portal. So this is where you will do pre-orientation. So we have some content for new student orientation that's housed on our Peacock Pride site. It's to help you get prepared to come to campus rather than just everything you need to know happening on orientation day. We like to spread it out so that it's a little more consumable. But then the Peacock Pride site also contains all of our student organizations, all of our student events. You'll see the welcome week event schedule, all of that is housed there. So if you were to go to that site right now, you wouldn't see anything because nothing's uploaded. But come August, that'll be a place that you check very regularly. And we'll keep you in the loop about how to log in, how to create your account on there, how to check it, how to get everything done when it's time.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. And this is also, again, what it looks like when you open up your Gmail is accessed right here. Just a side note too, if you originally gave us a high school email address, that very well could be not active in the summer. So definitely make sure to update your personal email address with the admissions office. Just email your admissions counselor. And also, again, be checking your CCS one for sure. Peacock Pride is located right here. Also here, you'll see self-service. This is a great place to update your contact info. Again, that personal email, give parent information, anything like that. This is also where you'll see your class schedules, your tuition bill, your financial aid information. And then also on this one is the patron portal. That is once you're a student, if you need to borrow equipment and reserve studio spaces, you'll be able to access it there. And again, that is accessed with your CCS ID and password. So again, self-service, you can actually access that now. That's a really good place to review your financial aid award package. It will be the place to review your tuition bill with the due dates, which I do not have yet. And then proxy access for a parent or guardian, because you are generally 18 years old, we can't automatically share information with your parents as if you are a student at CCS. So if you want us to share that information, you have to establish that and give us permission, basically. So you will do that there. You can also use self-service to set up a direct deposit payment with to the school to pay your CCS bills. The other part of self-service, the access looks like this. So there's, again, a bunch of different things. Great information here with campus offices, where you can get answers to a lot of things. Canvas is our system where you're going to find your courses listed, the syllabi, materials list, assignments, all that kind of stuff that you will access a lot during the school year. Handshake is the program that we use for career development, internships, learning about job opportunities. And then I would recommend definitely signing up for campus alerts, at least when you get here. These could be weather emergencies or anything like that. Campus closures, I know this winter was pretty mild, but the winter before, there were a couple campus closures because of snow conditions, weather conditions, blizzard conditions, so you would get that on your phone automatically. So that's definitely something you want to add to your list of things that you want to do, at least when you get here. For your class schedule, right now, we are going through pre-registration. If you have sent in your enrollment deposit, you are already involved in pre-registration. And what that means is our academic advising office and registrar's office are pre-registering you for the basic classes required for your major. So if you are coming in as a first year freshman into illustration, there's a set of courses that you are required to take freshman year, so or fall semester. So they will pre-sign you up for those. One of the big things, if you haven't already done this or received this, to look for in your email, in your CCS email, is an invitation from AARO to meet with them and to go through the registration process. So that is where you will kind of discuss your plans for the 4 years, any specifics, like if you want to do a minor or anything like that, any transfer credit you might have and how that affects your schedule. That is happening now. Those appointments are starting. There's a lot of students that have been sent those invitations already. If you haven't received one, just again, keep checking your CCS email because they will be going out with another round of them, I believe, next week. And then your instructional modes we'll talk about here in just a second. Also, you can see things like documents and credit placement. And again, we can kind of talk about that a little bit. This just gives you a quick.
Yeah. Patty, can I interject really quickly?
Please.
So with the appointments with AARO and the notifications about having your advising appointments and all the stuff we're talking about, like you're going to get emails and invitations and all of that. A question I get every single year as we lead up to new student orientation is, do I have the information I need? Am I prepared? And what I can tell you sincerely, having been at CCS the last 5 years, if you're checking your CCS email account regularly, you are getting the exact correct information you need at the correct time. So if you're checking your CCS email account on a weekly basis and you're still feeling lost, absolutely 100% encourage you to ask the question, like, am I missing something? Is something not right here? But if you're checking it regularly, we specifically time our communications to you based on what we know you need to know at that time. So if you haven't received an invitation for your advising appointment yet, start checking in about that. If you've checked your CCS email and you don't feel like you're getting the communications that you need, check in with us. But as long as you're checking your CCS email account regularly, you should be getting all of the information in the correct timing that you need it. Instead of us just sending it all to you in one email blast, we like to time it out and spread it out. So I just like to say that I get that question a lot, and just want everyone to rest assured that if you're feeling like you're missing something, you're probably not. It's probably just hasn't been communicated out to you yet because it's not time. So we still have a couple of months until school starts and a couple of months of things that need to get done. So just keep an eye out for those communications.
Exactly. Thank you, Katie.
Mhm.
We get some students are very organized and they want to have all the information, like orientation information. We get questions about that all the time. But Katie's completely right. We send things out at a certain time to spread it out a little bit for you guys to not overwhelm you. And when she says to reach out, absolutely, please reach out to us. If you have any questions, you can reach out to your individual admissions counselor or just to the general admissions office, anything like that. And if we cannot answer the answer the question in our office, we can definitely point you in the right direction for sure. Brooke, I saw that you just joined. I'm going to ask you to turn your camera off just because we're recording this. Okay. Thank you for joining us, though. I appreciate that. You haven't missed much. So, and if you do have questions, just a reminder to everybody, go ahead and put them in the chat. I can't see it right at the moment, but Katie's kind of keeping an eye on that. And then we will also have Q&A at the end, and we'll make sure we do get everyone's questions answered. So this image I left up just so you guys could kind of read it while we were talking. You might have questions about different types of instructional modes. These are what are currently available. Most of the classes are on campus. There might be a few hybrid classes where it's in person and in studio at different times, or a virtual online hybrid class. There's a number of those. So you can kind of see what those abbreviations are here. Sometimes abbreviations get really confusing. So we just actually talked about this a little bit. You'll have a registration appointment for new incoming students, and that includes transfer students as well. You will be able to see your course schedule on the web advisor that we just showed you. And then one quick note about transfer credit evaluations. This is something the admissions office is working on fast and furiously right now. Transfer credit evaluations are done for any potential transfer credit you might have. That could be an AP or an IB course. That could be something you took in the summer where you received college credit for it as a high school student, or you could be a transfer student coming in with maybe a year or two under your belt at another school or local community college. Or you could also be a student in a early middle college or dual enrollment situation. So there's a lot of that. In many students have that. If we haven't gotten to your transfer credit evaluation yet, we will, but keep an eye again on your emails and your text. We do have a number of students that we don't have the transcripts for to be able to process the credit evaluation. So if you are expecting transfer credit in any form, check your email, check your CCS email, because we're reaching out to you to request those. Credit, when we do it in the admissions office, it's we call it potential transfer credit, because the final official approval of that is done in the registrar's office when you go through your registration appointment. Okay. And then if you do need a schedule change for whatever reason, you'll request that through your academic advisor. Just a note about final official transcripts. Number one, we need a final high school transcript that shows that you graduated from high school. Even if you send us a transcript on May 26th, but you didn't graduate until May 28th. That transcript will not have that date on it and says graduated on. We need a final one. So you need to make sure that we have those. If you were enrolled in a college level course or dual enrolled in one of those, we need the final transcript from the college to see those final grades. So we might have had one from previously that showed like fall semester grades, but not spring semester grades. Those are due tentatively by July 1st, and that is to give us enough time to process everything. If you need to request a final transcript, especially a high school one, those can be done through Naviance, Parchment, College Board, or through your high school guidance counselor or your college registrar. So if you're a transfer student, you need to go to the college registrar of the school that you're attending or were attending. It does take about 2 weeks for that process to happen, even digitally. So we appreciate your patience on that. Sometimes we can tell you we received it, but we haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But it will show up on your self-service process. This is a big one we get a lot of questions about too, is what do I have to have before I come in? And the good news is not too much. People feel like they have to go out and spend a ton of money before they actually start school on things like laptops. And there are only, a laptop is only required for 2 majors, advertising design and communication design. Those specific requirements are listed on our website. Okay. So if you go to the CCS website, ccsdetroit.edu, you will find that on there under student. There are also recommendations for other majors. I would avoid going out and buying a new computer right now, unless you are advertising design or communication design. For multiple reasons. You have access to the labs on campus, which are extremely well outfitted with the latest and greatest software, hardware, everything you're going to need for your particular major. The other reason is there are ABC and additional equipment that you can check out as a student. And then finally, the other really nice thing is once you're a college student, you have amazing educational discounts that you have access to if you do want to buy a computer, a laptop for yourself. So you don't, other majors besides advertising design, communication design, it's not required. We do have some recommendations if you really want to, or if you already have a computer, if you want to see if that has everything you need on it, check out those recommendations. They are on the website. So.
Something I want to point out too, Patty, if it's okay,
Yep,
is that
absolutely.
don't go buy your own Adobe Cloud Suite. As a CCS student, you get free access to the Adobe Suite. It's all cloud-based, so if you already have the, on computer software, then, totally recommend you doing what's best for you. But the cloud-based software is accessible to you once you start at CCS, and it's accessible to you the entire time you're here. So don't go purchase the suite. I know there are some things that come with it on that, that's fine, but you don't need to create, your own account or go purchase any of that. You'll get that once you start at CCS.
Correct. Thank you, Katie.
Yep.
So this is another one we get a lot of questions about, is what kind of art supplies do I need to bring? You will get a complete list of what is required for your specific classes. It will either be on the syllabus posted on Canvas before classes start, or they might not give it to you until like the first or second day of class. So don't panic if it's not there. Most faculty are not going to expect you to have, unless they send it out ahead of time and tell you you need it the first day of class. Don't panic. So if you didn't see one, like if one of your classes is not listed, it does not have a syllabus or a class list on there on Canvas, don't panic. They will get that for you. The other thing I would highly recommend is not going out and purchasing everything on that list all at once, because it might be fairly long. You need to definitely check what you already have. You don't have to have brand new markers or brand new colored pencils or something like that. If you already have some from previous work, you absolutely can use those. Um, so they will give you ideas and they will give you recommendations for, what you need and when you're going to need it. For example, there might be things on the list that they say you're going to need later in the semester, that you don't need it immediately at the beginning. So that can be nice for budgeting. You can spread those purchases out a little bit. CCS does have a wonderful bookstore on our campus that actually has pretty competitive prices. There is a Dick Blick store fairly close to CCS, but again, the CCS bookstore prices are actually very competitive with that. So, and you can always order stuff online too. But again, they do a pretty good job in the bookstore of keeping things affordable. If you have questions before school starts or at the very beginning of the school year about these things, like the specific supply list or specific things maybe that are listed that you're not sure what it is, you can reach out to the program manager for your department. So, but again, if there is not one shown, don't panic. That's probably because you're going to get it at the beginning of the school year. Katie, I'm going to let you take over this one.
Sure. So orientation's my pride and joy. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll complete pre-orientation, which is a series of online modules that take you through certain information that you need to be prepared to come to campus. I really love being able to spread out some of the information that we give you, trying to get everything you need to know down in one day. It's just a lot, and it's just not possible. So I'm really glad you all are here for this because you're getting a jump start on that information. But pre-orientation will also help prepare you as we head into new student orientation. So pre-orientation is only going to take you a couple of hours. Each module is maybe, I don't know, 5 to 15 minutes each. It depends on what the module is about. You can do each module at your own pace. You don't have to sit down and do it all at once. You certainly can, but you don't have to. You could do a module a day. It doesn't really matter to me in what order you do it and how you do it, as long as it gets done before you come to campus. So we'll be checking in on that. You will receive emails from me or from first year at CCS Detroit throughout July and August, giving you details on what this entails, what you need to expect, how to actually access all of this. I will not leave you in the dark. I will give you very specific information. So keep an eye on your email for that. Orientation is going to happen in person on Monday, August 26th. So I believe we'll talk about housing a little bit in a few slides, but new student orientation is the day after new student move in on campus. So you'll move in on Sunday and we have orientation on Monday. And then my team in student engagement has an entire week of really fun activities planned. We're in the process. There it is. We have some of our traditional events like CCS After Dark, which is a glow dance party at night on that Friday night. We do the Detroit food tour where we take you around and give you samples of Detroit restaurants throughout the afternoon. We go to Belle Isle, Eastern Market, Campus Martius, all of these fun trips. Both we have things that happen off campus that are trips and getting you familiar with the Detroit area, but then we also have things that happen on campus to get you familiar with CCS, with your classmates, get you familiar with your resources. So like I said, as we get closer to August, we'll start communicating out a little bit more about what all of that is. Some of the events require you to sign up in advance just because we have to take a bus or we have to distribute tickets or whatever. So just keep an eye on that. It's all first come, first serve. We do our best to open up as much as we can to the whole campus community, but I can't take 400 students to a Tigers game. So if we're going to the Tigers game, you've got to keep an eye out for the tickets to go live. I do want to point out the Meet and Eat Resource Fair. So this is our way of feeding you the night of orientation. So at the end of orientation, we bring food trucks to campus and you get food truck food. If you aren't familiar with Detroit has a lot of phenomenal food trucks. So we bring vegan food, we bring different cultural foods, we bring Detroit staples to campus to feed you that evening. And then we also have all of our campus resource offices and all 50 of our student organizations represented at the Meet and Eat Resource Fair. So it's your opportunity at the end of that day to mingle with your classmates, to eat some really great Detroit food, and to get more hands-on information from each of the things that you'll learn about during new student orientation. I oftentimes get questions about when will I get to go on a campus tour. Campus tours are spread out throughout Welcome Week, and they're completely student-led. So my FYE leaders, my orientation leaders, they will be leading you around campus, giving you the inside information for not just, oh, here's the bookstore, but here's how to navigate the bookstore. Not just here's the cafeteria, but here's how you actually utilize the cafeteria. So it is a different tour than if you came to campus for an admissions campus tour. The admissions tour is really to give you an overview of the campus environment, whereas the Welcome Week New Student Orientation campus tour is very in-depth, meant for you as an incoming student, what insider information you need to know to be successful those first few weeks. Something I want to point out too is that there sometimes is a misconception that these Welcome Week events are just for students who live on campus. They're not. They are open to both commuters and on-campus residents. Obviously, if you're a commuter, you've got to get yourself to campus to participate in these things. But we do have a few, there will be a few events that are also child-friendly. So we know that some of our incoming students are also parents. So we try to create a few opportunities for your kids to come see where you're going to be going to school. So keep an eye out on your email again for the event list, for the sign-up forms, for all of that information. And all of this will live on that Peacock Pride site as well.
Thank you, Katie. That is
Sure.
great info. And the pictures are always look like this is a blast for students. So, and then do you want to do this one as well?
Yeah, sure. So I know that we likely have a few parents, family members, support system folks on our call right now. We will have a specific parent and family orientation Zoom call on Sunday, August 18th at 7 p.m. Again, it will be on Zoom. It won't be in person. So that gives us the opportunity to, one, get everybody in all of the time zones onto the call and provide you with that information. But then we'll also be able to record it and send it out to everybody afterward. So we do that the week before your student comes to classes so that you as the parent, family, or support system can help them get ready in that final week. That session's led by our Dean of Students, Dan Long. So Dan's my boss. I will very likely be on the call, but Dan will be able to go over, especially from a parent perspective, what your student needs to know in preparation for CCS. One thing I want to make sure of is that if you are wanting your parent or your support system to attend this session, or you are a parent or support system on this call, make sure that your student has your information entered into their admissions portal, because that's where the invitation will be sent. So we don't send this out to, we don't just mass blast it to all students. We send it to specific folks who have their information in the system. So just make sure that your email address is in there. I also want to address, I see Elizabeth, you asked about the resource fair. The 825 was a typo on the slide. So the Meet and East resource fair will be at the end of new student orientation. So we actually transport you from one of our campuses to the other campus so that you can attend that. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it.
Sorry about that. That was one of the dates I
No
must
worries.
have missed. I thought I got them all.
No problem.
I apologize. And if you're not sure that we have parent information, or you know it's changed or anything like that, reach out to your admissions counselor. We really need to have that information by August 1st so that those can go out in a timely manner. So housing and move-in. Move-in will be Sunday, August 25th. By appointment. Generally, that just means, you know, a time frame is what they're looking for. Just on the chance that we have any international students on the call tonight, their move-in is Saturday, August 24th. So they actually get an extra day to get things settled in there. There is really good information on what to bring, what not to bring. If you go to our website under on-campus housing, there is a wonderful document there that will highlight all of those types of things. It will show you what is included in the room and what is not, and make suggestions, and definitely let you know there's a few items you cannot bring. So That is definitely something that you want to check out if you haven't already, if you're planning to live on campus. If for some reason you have a problem with the move-in date, you need to reach out to Dan Long in the student life office, and they can work with you on whatever that situation is. But generally, it all happens on Sunday, the 25th or the 24th if you're an international student. We do still recommend that you have a COVID-19 vaccine booster if you've already been vaccinated. If you plan to live on campus, that just helps reduce the chances of a big outbreak. You can connect with your roommates before you arrive if you haven't already. Their individual contact information will be available in the Mercury app, which is found again in the Access Manager that you get to with your student CCS ID and password. And that was one of those boxes we showed you a little bit earlier. So more detailed information on our website, again, under Life at CCS, including the what to bring, what not to bring list. That is all available there.
Patty, there's a question in the chat that I'd like to address out loud since this is being recorded. I will send this in the chat too, but someone asked about how to make an appointment for move-in. Like I said, all of that information is going to be sent out in a timed manner. So you'll be able to make an appointment when housing sends it out. So you'll receive emails from, if you're an on-campus resident for this fall, you'll receive an email from Housing and Residence Life saying, here's all the move-in information. Here's how to sign up for a move-in slot. Something I really want to encourage you, I don't coordinate move-in, but I support my colleagues with move-in on move-in day. When you sign up for an appointment, please stick to that appointment time. We often have folks who sign up for a 2 p.m. appointment and then they show up at the crack of dawn. That clogs up our move-in system, and then our bins aren't available and we can't get our elevators to work and the elevator shut down. So the move-in appointments have nothing to do with getting first dibs on anything. There's nothing special about it. It's just to space things out so that move-in isn't chaos. So all of that information will be sent out directly from housing to your CCS email account. And we just ask that you respect the time that you sign up for your appointment time, and make sure you're paying attention to the details they send about what you need to know for move-in, like bringing a cart or the certain system that they're going to utilize during move-in. It's all laid out for you so that it's most efficient for you and your family.
Thank you, Katie. That's a very good point. Very good point. So this is actually new this year. We have a change in how we're doing our CCS student IDs. We have been asked to try to facilitate it being done ahead of time so that when you arrive on campus, you're able to pick up an ID all done. You will receive a form, again, at your CCS email that must be completed before you arrive on campus. And it will ask you to return the form with a headshot that you want to be used on your ID. It needs to show your face. This is not the place to be super creative with your photos because it needs to identify you to a lot of offices and a lot of places on campus. When you come in to campus, either at move-in or during orientation, that is when you'll pick up your new CCS student ID. Just to give you an idea, your CCS ID will be required to enter your housing, to enter all campus buildings, to ride our CCS shuttles that go between the campuses, and to access the elevators in the Taubman Center, which allows you to get up to your housing. So just to give you an example, on the Ford campus, if you're living at the Art Center building, you have to use your ID to swipe at the door to get in the door. Then you have to show your ID to a live security guard. Then you have to swipe again to get onto the elevator. So you have to show it at least 3 times to get up to your floor. So it is very important that you have a recognizable image, no masks, anything like that. It should be just a normal photo of you that shows who you are, what you look like, just like driver's license or maybe a little bit better photo, but something along those lines. Another really nice perk that CCS has is free car and bike parking. We do not charge for having a car on campus. Freshmen can have cars on campus. They just ask that you register either or both of those with our campus safety, and you can do that during orientation week. So if you're bringing a car, you'll be asked to register it on campus so that we know, which car belongs to what person. Bikes as well for the same reason. We want to make sure we know what belongs to, which students. So very easy to do, but there's no charge for that. So. If you have any ADA accommodations required, you need to definitely reach out to our Dean of Students, Dan Long, and have a conversation with him. That's something you should do sooner rather than later, so that he can work with you about that. So there is a really good video presentation. If you need some ADA accommodations, scan this QR code and it will take you to a video that you can watch about that. It's also available on our website if you want to check that out. Do you want to try this one, Katie?
Yeah. I see a question in the chat asking what is ADA? So ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act. So if you are someone who has needed perhaps extra time on exams due to a learning disability, or you are physically limited, maybe you require a wheelchair, you need certain access to different buildings in different ways, you need adjustments to your class schedule or extensions on your papers as a result of a documented need, you'll get in contact directly with our Dean of Students, Dan Long, who oversees that process. If you still don't know what I'm talking about, that probably doesn't pertain to you. So I do recommend watching the video. And yes, ADHD does count for ADA as long as you have it documented and are able to provide that documentation to Dan directly. It's between you and your doctor, what those accommodations look like, what that need is. And then Dan assesses what that documentation is and what the request is so that we can make reasonable accommodations. You'll hear me talk about this at new student orientation directly, but something important for you to know since you're here and you're getting a jump on the preparation is that we cannot provide retroactive accommodations. So what that means is if you start the semester and you get halfway through and you realize you're having a tough time because you don't have your typical extensions on projects that you're used to, you can still submit your documentation to Dan to get that approved and get those accommodations set in order. But if you've already turned in projects that you may have struggled with and got a grade that you didn't like on it because you didn't have your typical accommodations, we can't retroactively go and give you extensions on those projects. You have to be sure you have your accommodations in order, ready to go before you go into the projects, the papers, the studios, all of that. So that's not to say that if you develop a need during the year that you can't go get those accommodations, but you can't retroactively apply those accommodations.
Good point. Thank you. Yep.
And yeah, so the Center for Tutoring and Writing, lovely colleagues of ours, they have both 2 professional academic success coaches, but then they also have an entire team of peer tutors. So our academic success coaches and our tutors are able to help you learn how to deal with time management, how to build your weekly schedule, how to accurately reflect the time that you need to spend on certain projects outside of the classroom, how to manage juggling work and school and getting involved on campus and family needs. So you're able to visit with them and get all of that figured out if that's something that's new to you or something you're struggling with. It took me a really long time in college to get the hang of my time management because I too have ADHD. So my ADHD got in the way a lot. So definitely recommend reaching out to the CTW is what we call them for short. They help you implement more positive habits into your routine. So they can help you learn how to integrate sleep more regularly. We are not supportive of all-nighters at CCS. Like that is not an exciting thing for us. That's not a badge of honor. So we are constantly working with students together to make sure that we're building healthy habits, having sleep integrated into your routine, balancing work and fun. And the peer tutors within, which I don't know if we have another slide for that, Patty.
I don't think so.
But the peer tutors, what's wonderful about them is they are students who are currently enrolled at CCS who have already done the classes and mastered the classes that you're asking for help with. So these are students who have been in your seat. They're really great at what they do. They really, for example, they really know how to do digital foundations. And so if you're in need of support of something like that, you can go directly to a peer tutor and they can help you. No shame, not embarrassing. They're a completely wonderful resource. And our recommendation is that you ask for that support and get to know them sooner rather than later. So you'll get a chance to meet them at orientation, at the Meet Needs Resource Fair. They also do a workshop during Welcome Week that you're able to attend. So you can get familiar with them and their team before school even starts, so that when the time comes that you need to ask for some support, get a paper reviewed, whatever, you can go right to them and you know exactly who you're talking to.
And like Katie said a minute ago, doing this before classes start or early in the semester can be a huge benefit to you. If you wait until you're having trouble or you're overwhelmed, the services, the resources are still there. But if you make a little bit of an effort ahead of time, you might be able to start yourself off on the right foot. And I will say from the admissions point of view, I get that question a lot about how late or how much access do we have to studios. And I'm more than happy to tell people it's not 24/7 because we want students to sleep and
Mhm.
we value their health and their mental health and they need that rest.
Mhm.
There's other colleges out there that tout that as a positive thing that you can get in there anytime. And we don't really take that approach.
Mhm.
We are concerned about you as a whole person and we want to educate you as a whole person. So that includes all of those other things as well. And we want you to
There
have
are
a
a
great
couple
experience.
questions in the chat about the CTW. So yes, Alex, you can go to the CTW any time of the year. It's not just at the beginning. It's not just at the end when you're like, oh crap, I'm about to fail this class, right? They are there to help you at any point in the year. So we encourage you to reach out to them proactively to get to know them and get familiar with their services. But they also are just there when you need them as well, right? Like they're a service there for you. And then Brooke asked, do you do full-time or part-time for students in their schedules? Any CCS student who's getting any amount of credits can go access the CTW. So your part-time, full-time, your teaching certificate student, it doesn't matter. You can go to the CTW. I believe you can go to any of our student resources at any time, just
On
for
campus
getting
or if you're a
credits at
commuter,
CCS.
right? On campus students and commuter students, all
Yes.
CCS students are
Yep.
eligible.
And Veronica, would it be possible to sign up for office hours? If you mean office hours with the Center for Tutoring and Writing, you'd have to reach out to them directly to talk with them about that. If you mean with your professors, you'll have to reach out to your professors directly. It's a whole other conversation, but I really recommend going to the office hours that your professors set and getting to know your professors as well.
And those things will be posted on, if you remember, on the Access portal. There was a link for campus offices. That's a great place to find the Center
Mhm.
for Tutoring and Writing, and it will have their open hours. The
Mhm.
Office of Financial Aid, it'll have their office hours. It'll have those posted there. So that's a good resource for all of those things. Are we good on the questions? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Um, we were talking about this a little bit too, that we want to manage your well-being or want you to manage your well-being as well. So we have our wellness and counseling office. There are different events that they do. You have in-person and virtual counseling options. We have therapy dogs on campus on a very regular basis. It makes me very sad. I don't work on campus all the time. I don't ever get to see them. But we also, if something happens, this is a big parent question. If my kid gets sick, what happens, right? So they can start with the wellness office, and talk to somebody there to determine, is it something simple or is it something that needs to be seen by a professional? They have those resources available to your students. And we work with Wayne State University Health Center Access or Health Center, and the students have access to that. There is a student health insurance that is available to you if you don't carry health insurance or if you want to supplement your current health insurance. This will be available to you as a family. You can purchase that, and that information, I believe, is if you don't have it already, it'll come out with your tuition bill. And then also too, if something really serious happens, we hope it doesn't, but the Detroit Medical Center and Henry Ford Hospital are literally within a mile of our campus. So very quick access to emergency medicine if that's needed. We hope it's not, but I do know that those resources will hopefully help parents feel a little bit better, about sending their kids away. I know my son attended CCS a number of years ago, and there was a couple of times where he got sick and called home, and it's like, okay, I've got this going on, and I sent him to the wellness office, and he spoke to the nurse, and one time it was really just a cold, and he just needed, some cough medicine or something that he went out and purchased, and another time he did need to actually see more of a medical professional. So it was a very good resource for him, and for me as a parent, it made me feel better that I wasn't there to do that mommy doctoring kind of thing. So you do have those resources. Awesome. I did put I put the general admissions email on here. In case you have a general question, you can always reach us at admissions@CCS Detroit. You also should, at this point, have your own personal admissions counselor. If any of you guys are my students, you have my email. You can absolutely reach out to us. And I did stick Katie's up here as well, kgaither@ccsdetroit.edu. So I'm actually going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so that if we do have any questions, we can answer. We can check. I can look at the chat to make sure we got those, but also too, if anyone would like to unmute and ask a question in person, you are very, very welcome to do that to myself or to Katie, or just general questions. Absolutely. Please kind of feel free to do that. And Katie, were there any other questions in the chat that we missed?
Yeah, there were a couple of questions that I myself cannot answer, so I saved them for you.
Awesome.
Sorry,
All right.
Patty.
Nope, you're fine.
So someone asked that, so they said their high school counselor said that their transcripts will be ready after July 5th. Our deadline for transcripts is July 1st. So will they need to send through parchment instead?
That's kind of a weird question, because if you request them through parchment, that should be the normal way that you do it. If you called your counselor directly and that's what they told you, I guess my question is, did they tell you to request it from parchment at that time? Or, you can try requesting it now through parchment. I don't know if that's the problem, is because maybe they're not in the office and they can't prepare it in person. But if you have parchment, go ahead and request it that way, because that'll be sent digitally. It'll get to us faster. Just on the off chance, and I would say reach out to your admissions counselor just to check with that. But let's say worst case scenario, they can't do it until July 5th. That's okay. Just get it to us as soon as you can. But we like to use July 1st as a date for people to shoot for. So 5 days doesn't make that much of a difference. I will tell you, it has to be on record before you can start classes in the fall. So we try to get them in by by July 1st. But obviously that might be a couple of days later or something. That's fine. But I would say if you can request it now through parchment, check and see. Parchment might tell you, no, you can't. I'm not sure. That's kind of a weird situation. So
cool. Thank you.
yeah.
Jennifer asked, how long does it take for proxy access to be granted upon request?
Good. Usually it's pretty quick, because it's a matter of just putting that information in there. And then, if your parent calls, we see the information's in there, that you've said it's okay that you speak to them. I would say maybe just give it a few days for everything to go through the whole system. But like if you have financial questions or financial aid questions or something like that, or billing questions, go ahead and get that parent information in there and set that proxy up so that your parents are able to call and say, hey, can I ask questions? We want to have that in there as soon as we can. But yeah, usually just, I would say a few business days is all. And then I do see a question about Veronica asked about, she's an illustration student who's her academic advisor. You will have an academic advisor in our RO, but you'll also have an advisor in your major. And I am completely blanking on who are the individual major or who the individual counselors are to the academic, which academic advisors are for which major, but it is listed under the campus offices. If you go into academic advising and registrar's office, you will see the list of who the counselors are and what majors that they work with. So I apologize, I can't remember that off the top of my head. And Katie, if you remember that, I'll be super impressed. But
I think it's Brandon.
that sounds right, but I'm not
Brandon.
100% sure. So, but you can check it right
Yeah.
there on your portal.
Yep.
So
So
you
we have
got
a
that
couple
one.
questions. I see Alex asked when the shuttle bus schedule will be updated. There's not a schedule, it just runs. So it runs constantly. So there's always a bus running in rotation, and the campuses are only a mile apart. So you can usually expect a bus to make it from one campus to another every 5 minutes or so. When it's busy time, so busy time meaning classes are switching, right? Like class ends and the next classes start in 15 minutes, they'll have a couple extra buses running. But the buses will start running on a regular schedule again come August. So near move-in time. So by the time y'all get to campus, the buses will be running regularly. There are a couple questions about tuition that I think you're probably better suited to answer, Patty.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm just kind of scrolling down too. There was a question, Brooke asked a question about, does everyone need to sign in for housing? If you are not staying on campus, you do not, there's nothing you have to do for housing. I think I'm assuming you're talking about making that move-in appointment maybe. Yeah, if you're commuting, you don't have to do anything about move-in. So, yep, email. Okay, sorry, I'm just scrolling down here. Oh, question about that. Yep. We got the ADA one. Okay. Yep. Yeah, tuition deadline information will be coming out fairly shortly. I don't think it's on the portal yet. I'm sorry. I should have that answered, but if you again, if they log in, if the student logs into their admissions portal, or excuse me, their campus portal access manager, then they will be able to see that billing information. It may not be there yet. If it's not there yet, it's if the student hasn't gone through registration, through that official registration appointment yet, that's why. After that happens, after the student has their appointment with the academic advising and registration office to officially get all registered for classes, that's when we know exactly how many credits they're going to take and when they can actually generate that bill. So usually it comes out, usually by early July is usually when that comes out. And if for some reason, you are later, maybe you didn't start the application process till recently, maybe you don't end up having a meeting with AARO till the end of July, it'll come out as soon as possible after that. But I believe it's usually mid-July, and then the due date is usually mid-August. But we can get back to you on that too. So if you want to, you can email admissions, like I said, and we can reach out and find that out for sure. But that's usually when those dates are. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, there is a question about tuition. It said, is the total amount listed in self-service all due at once, or is it half? So there's a few options. Tuition is billed per semester. Now, it depends on what you're looking at in self-service. If you're looking at financial aid and what you're receiving through financial aid, that will show you that for the year. So that it'll have the total cost, and it will show you your financial aid for the entire year. Tuition is actually billed per semester. So half is due before the first semester, half is due before the second semester. Generally, it's all due at that time, but there are a couple of options, and one really nice one to pay in increments if you need to. There's a payment plan that you can enroll in. That information will be coming out with that tuition bill that allows you to, make those payments over on a monthly basis, basically. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. Like you might be able to put down a chunk of money towards your tuition, and then you have the other chunk and maybe the other part of it that you want to pay over time. You can set it up in a way that's going to work for you and your family. Oh, thank you, Katie, for putting the payment plan options in there. I appreciate that. See, told you they were there. That looks like all the questions. I've gone through the whole chat. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask live? If there's something you're thinking about or something we talked about tonight that you're still confused about, I'm sorry about that, but let us make it, clearer why we got you here. I'm really glad to see everybody here, by the way. Thank you for all attending tonight to get all this great information and get you all ready and excited to start classes this fall. We're very happy to have you. Okay, good question. Alex asked if one of the required classes doesn't have a section available for winter 2025. Yes. Well, no, because that's for winter 2025. So the amount due in August is going to be what's for fall semester. That if it let's say it still isn't available, come fall or come for the whole semester, when your winter tuition comes due in the fall, like in November, that's where you'll see that change. But your fall semester will be based on the classes you take in the fall. Does that make sense? And the other thing is, talk to your counselor, your academic advisor, excuse me, about that, because that might change. If they have a number of students that need a particular class, they might add sections. They'll be able to talk to you about that, but you could ask that question, or if there's a waiting list or anything like that. But like I said, if it's a winter class, that doesn't affect your fall tuition. So hopefully that makes sense. The presentation, we will post it on our YouTube page probably tomorrow, but give us an extra day just in case. I need to edit the beginning because it was recording Katie and I chatting. And then that will come out for you guys. So, and I do not know what time the next round of housing assignments will be done. They are doing them as quickly as they can.
What I can say about that, so
Yep.
Ryan, the director of housing, his office is right next to mine. So anytime I pop in there and say, hey, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing housing placement. So he's constantly taking a look at it. Every day we have fluctuations happening in housing, right? Some students decide to stay home for the year, take a gap year. Some students decide they want to commute instead. We have some students' travel plans change or their commitment to the institution changes. There's so much that can happen, but like every single day with students. So Ryan is constantly multiple times a week checking placement and making sure things are being placed. If you're worried about getting into housing, contact housing at CCS Detroit and make sure you're on their wait list so that Ryan has you on his list ready to go for the day. When the day comes that the list shifts, you can make it up onto the registration.
Yeah, and just another quick note about that. I know, for example, right now, spaces in the ACB are all filled. The ACB is the Art Center building on the Ford campus. If that's your first choice, if you really want to be there, get on the waiting list. It's okay because there will be movement on it. If for some reason, it's not at the point now, do not panic. But if for some reason housing in the Taubman Center fills up, do not panic if you end up on a waiting list, because what I have seen over my many, many years of doing admissions is there is always movement on those waiting lists, literally right up until the last minute. So don't panic if that happens to you. If you haven't done your housing application yet, there's definitely still time. I would encourage you to do it as soon as you can, and pay that first deposit, but you can do that. So that is very easy. Yeah, I just missed hold on. I saw a couple of questions in here. I want to make sure we got the presentation one. Alex, you asked about account summary saying you'll be paying for fall and winter. Yeah, you can talk to your financial aid about or your admissions and financial aid, but you pay, like I said, per semester. So you pay the fall semester in the summer when that's due, and then you'll pay the winter semester. Usually, I think it's due like December 1st or somewhere right around there. So you're paying per semester. Now, if you do go onto a payment plan, that's a little bit different. Usually, they can take the entire amount for the year and spread it out over those 10 or 12 months. So you've got a couple of options again, but generally it's billed per semester. Yes. The AARO appointment is the same thing as the appointment to select your FYE class and set your winter schedule. That is the same appointment that we're talking about. So yes, you will get that request. If you haven't already, it will be in your CCS email. Again, want to emphasize checking that on a regular basis. Okay, there is a question about if you're on the ACB wait list but want to remain in the TC. If that's the case, just reach out to the housing office and they will be able to adjust that for you. So, but yeah, so that because they can take you off the ACB wait list or move it around. So, but you do need to reach out to housing to do that. So. I'm answering questions Katie's already answered in the chat. Sorry, guys. I apologize. Yeah, if you have not yet spoken to your academic advisor, keep an eye on your CCS email because those invitations are still going out. They have not all gone out. So definitely keep an eye and check. I would say twice a week at least, or minimum once a week, but twice would be maybe a little bit better just so you don't miss anything. It'll be an invitation from AARO to set up an appointment. And the appointment will be to meet with your academic advisor over a Zoom call to, again, go over your fall semester, pick your FYE class, which is a first year course that most students take. If it is not on your schedule, it might not be something you need to take if you're a transfer student, especially, but they'll go over that with you and also to talk about your winter semester schedule. So to kind of plan for your entire first year. But yeah, those invitations are still going out. So don't panic if you haven't gotten one yet. Just keep an eye on it. The other thing is if you have not submitted your enrollment deposit, they are only going out to, those invitations only go out to students that have paid their $250 non-refundable enrollment deposit. So if you happen to be a student that is accepted, but you haven't done that yet, that would be your next step for everything because you will not get an invitation to schedule for classes until you're actually deposited. So the group meeting. I'm not sure what group meeting you're talking about, Elizabeth. Was that from the invitation from AARO that you set up? Yeah. If you have questions about your schedule, you're welcome to reach out to them and to reach out to your advisor. Absolutely. That's not a problem. They definitely expect lots of questions this time of year. So I would say feel free to do that. Anybody have any other questions? I think we're just about at time here, a couple minutes over, but thank you all for hanging in there at the last minute. I am going to ask for kind of a last round or last opportunity on questions.
I just want to say I appreciate all the questions and want to be super clear that we do not expect you to know all of these things. That's the whole point of this session. We don't expect you to come to CCS and know exactly what's going on and who you need to talk to and what email you need to send here and what appointment you need to be at. But that's why paying attention to your email and all of those communications that we send out is so important because we do space them out. We do time them. We do include as much information as you could possibly ever need to know in those communications. So as long as you're keeping up on all of that, you'll know exactly what you need to do when you need to do it. Just keep an eye out for all of that. And keep asking questions. Like if you don't know the answer, then someone else probably doesn't know the answer either. And so that's up to us to make sure that everybody has the answer.
Okay, so Veronica, I'm not 100% sure. Katie and I think it's Brandon is the academic advisor for illustration. And Katie, I'm blanking on his last name.
Veronica, if you want to get in contact with Brandon directly, you can email, I'm gonna put it in the chat, askAARO@ccsdetroit.edu. So that's their general email address, and they can connect you directly with who your actual advisor is.
Right. That would be the best thing. Yes, the presentation should be on our YouTube page within a few days. Usually it's up within 24 hours, but if you give us an extra day, that probably would be safe. And then, Brooke, you did not miss too much at the very beginning. We were just talking about what we were going to go over. And if you want to, again, this is recorded, so you can definitely check that video out in a few days on the CCS YouTube page. Awesome. Well, everybody, I am again very grateful for all of you for hanging on to the end and a few minutes over. We are going to wrap it up, but again, you can reach out to us at the admissions office or your individual counselor anytime. Katie, thank you again for sharing with me. I appreciate it. And you guys have a wonderful evening, and we can't wait to have you all join us as CCS family this fall. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye, I'll see you in August.